This is part one of our presentation on existential therapy.
Cher Horowitz, a student based in Beverly Hills, California, who is suffering from existential angst and anxiety. Anxiety as a condition of living awareness of death and non-being. She has garnered attention for her deft matchmaking skills and her inclination to influence others according to her desires. Cher's keen desire to control the lives of those around her is evident. Cher fears giving up control, and she wants it so that she can manage the ingenuine relationships and her fake persona, but she has to learn to be herself. Cher lost her mother during infancy, and she is closely watched over by her protective father, with Cher's attachment to material possessions and her consistent fake persona that she puts on for all those in her life. She would benefit greatly from existential therapy. This form of therapy aims to help individuals address the anxieties stemming from life, existence, freedom, and the inevitability of death. Although existential therapy is unique in its sense that there is no specific techniques per se, but by exploring Cher's unique circumstances and experiences, existential therapy could contribute to her self-awareness and enable her to form not just healthier relationships, but genuine ones. Existential therapy works to encourage individuals to take responsibility for their choices, find meaning in their lives, and confront inner conflicts, while also providing value to those grappling with questions regarding life's purpose, individual autonomy, and their position in the world. Cher has struggled immensely with all these things in her life, which has led to her being in this session. Existential pushes for the capacity of self-awareness and to really strive for a meaningful identity and relationship to others, along with actually just searching for meaning in life. Cher's struggle with finding meaning in her life would be addressed through this therapeutic approach by enabling her to make different decisions and to reflect on how that makes her feel. Meanwhile, also having her to reflect on the experience of making changes and determine if it has a positive impact. Cher is dealing with a lack of fulfillment, feeling as though she's simply existing rather than genuinely living. Through existential therapy, Cher could transcend her dichotomies and find meaning and purpose in every aspect of her life, rather than merely looking forward to the weekends, or in other words, just merely existing. There's also an exploration of how essential it is to be living as a genuine person, especially in Cher's case. This pushes for the concept that each of us deserve to be loved and accepted unconditionally for who we are. Cher's unique circumstances and experiences can be explored through existential therapy to help her enhance her understanding of herself and her relationships. As humans, we continually recreate ourselves through our existence, choices, and actions. Oh, you're kind
This is part two of our presentation. Hi, Cher. How have you been this week?
I've been good, really, really good, really good. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. To be honest, I've been super anxious. I haven't been able to sleep at all.
I'm really sorry to hear that. Is there something particular that's been on your mind?
I don't know. I just feel like I put on this happy face with a perfect outfit that I work so hard to make sure is just right every day, every week. I really just want to make sure that I belong and fit in and make sure no one sees any of my problems or that there's anything wrong with me. And guess what? They totally believe me, and no one ever knows that I have this crippling anxiety and that I have to keep it up forever.
I bet that's really exhausting.
It is totally bugging.
So we created a life map in our session last week, and I saw that you had fashion and your love of clothing and style very prominently placed on your map. And I wondered if you could tell me a bit more about what fashion means to you.
Fashion is everything to me. I mean, it's how I express myself and differentiate myself. How I look is how I make friends. I mean, without them, I basically wouldn't exist. I mean, like literally, what would I be to people if I didn't have my style to define me? Just thinking about this makes me feel anxious right now.
Okay, I hear you. So you're telling me that fashion is an expression of yourself. And can you tell me more about what it actually says about you?
Um, my clothes say that I'm likable and lovable and that I can be beautiful. My clothes are just who I am. Without my clothes, like, who would I even be? If it wasn't for my clothes, I'd literally be meaningless.
So what I'm hearing is that you find a lot of your self-esteem from your clothes and you take great pride in your appearance.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so then let's just consider this for a moment. Can you imagine what it would be like if you were without your clothes?
You mean like naked?
No, not naked, but not expressing your identity through your clothing. So, for example, if you were wearing something neutral that everybody was wearing, it's the same thing. How do you think that would make you feel?
Mm, Probably afraid of rejection.
Okay. So you're afraid that people would reject you if you didn't conform to their standards. Let me ask you this. Do you choose to wear the clothes that you wear because you love them and they make you happy, or because you have to so that you don't get rejected?
So I'm just like not supposed to care about clothes?
I think it's more about if you're supposed to do anything. So it's okay if it's not about what you're supposed to do, but can you tell me more about why it's what you're supposed to do and who tells you what you're supposed to do?
I don't know. No one, I guess. It's just unspoken rules.
Okay, well, do you enjoy following the fashion rules?
Honestly, I think I do. Like if you could see my skirt right now, like honestly, it brings me so much joy. But I don't know. Now that you mention it, I think I'd love it even more if I didn't have to love it, you know?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And I'm glad to hear how self-aware you are of what you actually feel. And I think there's nothing wrong with feeling good about clothes if that's your personal authenticity. But it sounds like that's not all they are for you right now. And it sounds like you might use them to hide. What do you think?
Um, Probably.
Okay, and what are you hiding?
Oh, what what aren't I hiding? Like I'm actually really scared and not as together as I try to put on the outside. That I'm alone and I'm terrified because I don't really know what I'm doing, even though I always pretend to know exactly what I'm doing. But just that I'm a virgin who can't drive. I feel super inferior to everyone else. And I just feel like I'm always comparing myself to my friends. And I feel super alone.
Okay, so let's just sit with this feeling for a minute, even though it's really scary. So when you say you are alone, how does that feel? What does it bring up for you?
That I deserve to be alone, that I don't deserve to be loved.
I'm sorry to hear that. That must feel really hard.
Yeah, it is. I feel like I'm not worthy or deserving of love unless I'm the absolute best and perfect share all the time.
Okay, and what about other people in your life? Do they deserve to be loved?
I mean, yeah, they do, but
I'm listening.
I mean, well, if I'm being honest, like it's not like I haven't made people feel that way before.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Well, I guess I don't know. I just have always felt like I needed to be perfect with everything going on. And when I see other people who don't feel like that, it just makes me so mad. And I have tried to change or alter them so they can feel how I feel, if that makes sense. I mean, like when I see someone who doesn't dress right, yes, I make them feel bad. That's true, but it's more so they look so like they're happy without having to do anything to prove it, and it drives me crazy
Okay, what about that drives you crazy?
that I'm not allowed to just live.
Hmm. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you feel like you cannot live or be accepted or deserving of love if you don't conform to these standards. And since you feel like you cannot be free, you want to control those around you to feel that way.
Well, yes, but when you put it that way, it sounds a little silly.
No, it's not silly. It's obvious that you've had a lot of pain.
It just feels like all of my fears and anxieties are being brought to the surface. It is literally the only thing that keeps me up at night, besides thinking about my outfit for the next day and what I'm going to do for the weekend, of course.
So what I'm hearing is that being alone makes you feel anxious and scared. Is this something that you've been feeling for a long time?
My entire life. I mean, as far back as I can remember, the first memory I have is knowing that I'm not like other kids because I don't have a mom. There were no mother-daughter days or any of those bonding moments my friends had. I remember feeling so isolated when my friends would talk about their moms playing with them. I never had that. And my dad, well, I love him so much. He's always provided financially for me, but he might as well be the living dead. He's so checked out from me and just everyone. He works so hard, but that is all he does, almost as a way to escape life. Like he doesn't want to be here anymore, but he has to be.
Mm.
I knew I knew from a young age that I did not want to be like him. I want to experience life and get the most out of it rather than be like my dad who is dead but is still existing. I feel like being alone has almost defined my life in a sense. And maybe I have been running from it so much that I went to one extreme end by putting so much emphasis on clothes, parties, boys. I although I never escape it.
Yeah. Sounds like that would be a really difficult situation to grow up in, feeling that way and being confronted with all of those emotions at such an early age. Can you tell me about a time when you didn't feel so alone? Has that ever happened?
Mm, Well, I mean, I was going to tell you about this party when I was with my friends, but when I really think about the party, I'm not sure if it was that I didn't feel alone, but more so that my mind was distracted and I was able to use the mask of my clothes to cover up my feelings of aloneness, like the actual me physically, I was there, but I was still alone. I just felt like I was living this really inauthentic life. But I was also thinking about this other time.
Okay, well, first, I just want to talk about that time with your friends. I hear what you're saying, that being surrounded by people can be a distraction, but when you really dig down below that, you know that you were still feeling isolated. But what about the other time? What is that one you were thinking about?
Yeah, I helped out with this fundraiser at school recently.
Cool, that sounds like a good time.
I was honestly kind of hesitant about it at first, but yeah, it really was so much fun. It was cool because it was for a good cause, and I also got to meet and interact with people I literally never would have crossed paths with before. Like never. But weirdly, it felt like I had a purpose and I wasn't afraid, even though I don't think I was really thinking about it like that at the time.
Okay, so I see, like, you were living a meaningful life, not just existing in that moment. And what did that feel like?
Well, it's like what we were talking about, where I'm not trying to be anything or prove anything. I'm just there in the moment and it's happening and I'm not even thinking about it. And when I'm doing something meaningful, I don't feel like I'm dying inside. And I don't feel like I have to take it out on anyone else. I think that's what felt the best. I wasn't drowning?
Yeah, that's very insightful of you to recognize that feeling. So what was it exactly that brought meaning to you that day?
Well, I mean, I was absolutely wearing an adorable outfit, don't get me wrong. But I think that day I felt good because of what I was doing, not because of what I was wearing. I was not living just a meaningless life and putting on this whole fake happy girl persona for my friends.
Okay, so you recognize that what you were doing was bringing you life and joy, not necessarily the external view of you.
Yeah. Hmm. I think I think I actually got a good night's sleep that night too because I felt very accomplished, both that I was doing something with my life and I was not living with this heavy weight on my shoulder. Oh my gosh, like it is literally so refreshing talking to you as my therapist. I feel as though I can be who I am, you can be who you are, and there's literally no judgment. There's just this knowing of we can accept each other and everything we talk about is real. It's not fake and just conversations to pass the time. You're very present for me and it's so refreshing.
I'm really glad to hear that you feel that way, and I notice that you're present here as well. So how does it feel to be present in this session, in this moment?
Honestly, I just feel like I've dropped a mask. I feel like the ingenuous persona I have to put on for friends, school, even at home, like it's just gone. I don't feel like I have to live up to something in order to be accepted or be worthy. It's such an invigorating feeling.
That's great. So you're feeling like you're able to be more present and more authentic. My next thought is, what would you be able to do moving forward so that you can feel this way whenever you leave the session?
Mm, That's a really good question. I think I just need to learn to be more present, not even with like others, but also with myself as well. So, like, whenever Dee is talking about her silly boyfriend, actually listen to what she's saying and have that genuine connection. Or whenever I'm home, be more present with myself and not constantly try to have like a fleeting thought or occupy myself to pass time just so I don't feel alone.
That's a great idea, Share. So I hear that being more present for your friends and yourself at home and allow yourself to really just feel your feelings.
Yeah, I think sometimes I would put these blocks that didn't even allow me to live a full life. Like the clothes was almost being used as a block to continue having this inauthentic life. I think I'm actually gonna start volunteering more too. That made me feel so accomplished and like I was actually doing something with my life.
That's great, and that's really insightful of you to recognize. And these are all excellent ways to make sure that you continue to feel this way even outside of the session.
Thanks. I feel so much relief right now. I think when I leave here, I'm gonna go see if I can help my dad with some of his paperwork.
That sounds like a very real way to spend your time. Thank you for coming, Cher, and enjoy the rest of your week.
This is the beginning of part 3.
In existential therapy, the focus is on the relationship between client and counselor. The existential philosopher Martin Buber expounds on the importance of people experiencing the world with how we relate to each other in his book, I and Thou, which has had a great impact on the methods used in existential therapy. Although existential therapy doesn't have specific techniques, the process relies on the basic philosophical approaches of unconditional love, encouraging our clients to live genuine lives, helping our clients find meaning in our life through work and relationships, and transcending their dichotomies by aligning their lifestyles with their beliefs. In this therapy, the counselor helps the client to identify their existential angst, recognize what does and does not bring meaning to their life, be comfortable being themselves and being authentic in community, and encourages clients to pursue actions that are aligned with the meaning that the particular client craves. So, in the case of Cher, existential therapy is used to help her uncover her use of clothes to hide her true self from others because she's afraid of being judged and abandoned if she were to be truly known. In existential therapy, we acknowledge that each person is deserving of unconditional love, no strings attached. In order to help her see this, we also needed to address the way that she is preemptively judgmental and fake towards others, something that she is afraid of herself. Through this therapeutic discussion, we uncovered that the root of her fakeness is related to the root of her fear, that she does not believe that she is deserving of unconditional love. The counselor believes that Cher is afraid of accessing her personal authenticity, and we explored times that Cher has sacrificed being authentic in order to be accepted. Through helping Cher recognize the existential angst that this causes, we help her imagine other ways to interact with the world that are more fulfilling. The I and thou relationship is used to create a space for her in therapy where Cher can be open, honest, and authentic, and we provide her with the space to explore how she can improve her experience of life and transcend her dichotomy. In her case, the dichotomy between the image of herself that she presents to other people and the real Cher that she is hiding underneath. Ultimately, existential therapy maintains that we all have the ability to change our behavior and change our relationships to be more meaningful and aligned with our particular beliefs, and this will lead to a happier existence for all of us, including Cher Horowitz.